Hi everyone, Russ Thomas here from RST Coaching Academy. Welcome to a new episode of Money Talks, where we talk about money and how to make more of it. So hi everybody, this is Russ from RST Coaching Academy with another super presentation of Money Talks. Today I've got my friend Sue Rhodes from Northeast Oklahoma, a little town called Grove, Oklahoma. She is a lifelong educator in the corporate world, actually. And since she retired, she got a passion for kids and to help them learn financial principles at a young age, primarily in the junior and the senior age of high school. And so she's embarked on a project. She's creating a project to be able to make available to schools, private schools, public schools, home schools, and to be able to help these kids, our upcoming kids, learn what it is, money management, money principles. So anyway, I'll turn this over to Sue. So anyway, you were doing training for these chemical companies, is that correct?
Yeah, I've done training and I was in training management. I've had some really nice career actually, from local site to area. And I actually was a global training manager for Hexion Chemical when I retired.
Okay.
But with that, it gave me a different perspective on training. It gave me a different perspective on how quickly things happen in our public schools.
Or what happened?
Right? Because I was looking for people coming out of our schools and how they were doing. But it also gives me a different perspective in that being in charge of training, I have to admit, I'm used to going, we need this, let's do this, and we put it in place.
All right. Now, did you develop you developed your own curriculum, your own courseware for these companies?
Yes, I mean, we would do, well, obviously we do our own operations because we'd have our own products. So, and they're proprietary. So yes, you would do your own procedures and how to train on them. And would do certification, meaning test out basically of all the operators, etc.
Okay.
So, but then we'd also have programs like safety programs, environmental programs, or quality programs. So those we would develop that would fit our products
Okay.
and put those in place as well.
So your educational degree took a different course, went into corporate America basically instead of into the public or private school system. But nevertheless, a teacher in a school has to develop curriculum. You were doing that same thing, and the same principles hold true. You're just working with bigger minds, older minds than the kids that would be in the school system. So that's it's still in that whole world of education, isn't it?
Yes, and actually, I happen to have a sister who teaches as well, and she taught in fifth grade for 40 years, right? And I told her I didn't understand how she could do that. And her change was she had different kids every year.
True.
Mine was I took the same group or, somewhat same group, and I traversed them through an entire, course. And the course, the material would change for me. And so we had different interest in that respect as far as we were able to, keep our own motivation going differently
your
that
own
way.
enthusiasm because of
Yes.
how you were doing what you were doing. So
Yes.
fast forward to how you got into what you're about now. You're retired from the corporate world, and now
Yes.
you started a brand new venture.
Yes. Well, again, some of that kind of carries over in that, yes, I retired. I thought I was going to embark on retirement type things, and COVID hit. And I just couldn't stand just being here. And so basically I got on net like everybody else, and you talk to people, you have experiences. I had a nephew over for a while, and it's just different things kept pointing to they're just not ready to take care of things. Like I said, I had a nephew here for a while, and all he had to do was mow my yard, you know,
Huh?
and he wasn't doing that well, or I would leave, money here for him to do things, to take care of his part of meals, etc. And he would not handle that well. And then I got to talking to other friends, and they would tell stories of what kids are doing, how they, oh, for example, one would wrote a check and then asked where did they, where do they sign it, and such simple things. Do you think that you look back and you're able to you're able to think yourself, when did you learn all these things? And truthfully, you know, you do it by trial and error
Yeah, yeah,
in some respects. At
yeah.
least I can recall all I was ever taught was how to write a check and reconcile a checkbook
Yeah.
when I went to school.
Now it sounded like two different kids here identifying two different groups. One, your nephew,
Mhm.
he was with him, it sounded like it was just total lack of motivation. And
Well,
he
maybe
did,
not
he
motivation,
said
but
he
it was
didn't do
just
a good
he
job
didn't
mowing
have
the
the
grass.
skills to do it.
Yeah,
Yes.
so something's happening there. And then the other one was ignorance. Well, fortunately, stupidity can't be changed very well, but ignorance can through learning. And that's what you have become, is somebody to overcome financial ignorance, right?
Right. I mean, I think primarily they're not exposed to it. And second, things change so quickly, especially now. If you consider how rapidly things have changed, uh, how long, for example, I'm sure you did checks forever, and you weren't concerned about anything else. And then suddenly, early 2000s, you know, we were able then to flip into the digital world,
Oh, yeah.
and how quickly things change now. So if you didn't have a basic understanding, which is true in adult learning as well, if you don't have the basics, then the changes uh, are able to overwhelm you because you don't have the same building blocks,
Uh-huh.
right?
Wow.
So
Yeah. You gotta
go
have,
ahead. I'm
you have
sorry.
to have a foundation. You have to have a foundation that can be built upon. So if they don't
Yes,
even have that, then it's like, oh my goodness,
right,
where do you start? Where do you go?
right. I
Yeah.
mean, if you're holding a card, it's a debit card. This is another story. I've interviewed lots of people now. I went to my local bank and was interviewing the president of the bank, and they had had a customer come in. This young adult had come in, set up an account, had their debit card, and she thought he was going to do great. A couple days later, he came in with his card and asked to have some more money placed on it. He had, but it's just because they were used to like a gift card,
Uh-huh.
and this was a entirely different thing
Right. Yeah. Didn't realize that it was tied to his bank balance,
to the
basically.
account. He
Yeah.
hadn't,
Yeah.
I don't think he thought he was spending his account,
Yeah.
you
And,
know.
the banker, it wasn't the banker's responsibility to teach him that. You'd think that he already knew that. Debit card. Well, it debits your bank account. So here comes Sue Rhodes
Hmm.
with an idea to help these poor kids. And so then how has that all developed and what have you created that you're taking to the marketplace in terms of schools, public, private, homeschools?
Well, we have two things actually. Having learned those things, on the one hand, we have the government is beginning to require a more extensive education, not across the board, but it is in a few states.
Okay.
And it's not due yet, but in the coming semesters, it is coming due. It's coming requirements. So on that hand, I have a foothold to be able to talk to public schools and private schools.
That'll make a
And
market. That's gonna make a ready-made market for you because it's the government. Is this the state or the Fed that's doing this?
state so far.
Okay,
And if they
mandating it.
get broad enough, then they'll have to make them
Okay,
be equal. But
right.
right now, you have some who are very extensive and others that are very minimal. But at least they're all coming up on board. I believe about half, 23, I think, states do have some requirements. And some of them are in place, others by the graduates of 27 is kind of the timeline.
Well, you've got a ready-made market then. So all you gotta do now is go after it, right?
Go get it.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
But then, so that can be as boring as anything else, right? So instead, my aim is to take what they require. I have then turned it into digital because not only is it required, but I don't know a single high school student who doesn't have a phone or isn't actively on a phone or some digital aspect of life. So to offer it to them in the format that they want to receive it is my second gain. And then third is I want to tie it to their homes. And this also would kind of bring in my homeschools more solidly, is that the activities that I ask them to do actually ties into what they can do from home, whether it be investigating budget items and things of that nature.
Uh-huh.
So they learn skills, which my nephew didn't have, right? And they learn the education, which the gentleman at the bank didn't have, right? So you sit there and you push all that together into a cohesive system.
Okay, so have you written a book for this curriculum, or is it pretty much all online, digital based?
Right. Well, currently, currently I have it digitally, but I'm also looking at two things. One is the delivery method. I want to utilize methods that are more gamified than are typical. And I don't mean I'll make it a game like dungeons and all that good stuff. I'm not saying that, but gamify it so that it works with our brain instead of just being boring and putting us to sleep or something. It won't just be lecture, go do this, lecture, go do this
Uh-huh.
on video instead of in person or something of that nature. So instead, you utilize principles of gamification in order to keep their attention and work more closely with how our brains work. The scope of what I'd like, pardon me, the scope of what I'd like to do begins with mindset, then with money management, and is supplemented by skills.
Good, that's a good progression for sure.
Yes.
Yep. It all starts with mindset. You know, success in general starts with mindset. And if we don't have our heads on straight, we're not thinking straight, we're not talking straight, we're not acting straight. There's not going to be very good success coming out of our lives. So you have mindset and then money. What was the second one? Money what?
Money management, and
Money
that'll
management.
include, your banking, your savings,
Yep.
in possible investing. There's multiple modules in that.
And then the third was you said skills,
the skills necessary.
actual skills, yeah,
You know, how do you apply everyday activity to the money management,
right.
right?
Indeed, indeed. So you coined a phrase that I'd never heard of before, I don't believe, called gamification.
Oh, yeah.
And you're blending games with education. So while they're hopefully having a decent time at this, they're also learning stuff, maybe even without even knowing it, possibly. But there's a something going on in their head more than just a game because of the education factor.
Well, I don't want to mislead you. It's not a true game like,
Right, I
you know, you
understand.
get in and do uh dragons and dungeons, that
Right.
kind of thing. Although they can do that, I just have chosen, I don't know enough to do that. That'd be another iteration or two down the road. Huh. But instead, what it does is it rewards you for taking an action
Hmm.
because, okay, our brain it wants to take an action, right? And so it rewards you when you do that.
Uh-huh.
And it also does things like, uh, we'll say interrupts, you know. It'd be like I flash something up here and your brain will automatically, you're going to look at that, whatever I have. And so that keeps you from drifting if I constantly bring you back.
I see.
And so that's also just something that fights your normal response, right? Is that you'll hear something and you go, oh, that sounds cool. I wonder if I could do that. You know, that would work well on my new car and da 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 da. And you're off somewhere
Um,
until something else brings you back.
okay.
So that fights that, right? By
Uh-huh.
doing interrupts and by doing rewards. You can also show progressions and do competition kind of things with, you know, how quickly you do things. There's just several little items that you can utilize in the construction of the module, of the material
Uh-huh.
that is presentation, that is called gamification.
All right.
Okay.
Cool.
So
Now, is this a finished product?
I won't say it's entirely finished at this moment, but I would say I'm well down the path as far as generating the materials. Now I'm in the construction and interlocking of the materials.
Okay.
For example, if I have an activity on budget, you know, as create a budget, but I want them to say take uh, household things. For example, I want them to take the experience of shopping and deciding, and they can do it from their own household, from, you know, using their family, etc., to identify what are the numbers, and then to prorate them into uh, a uh, a budget that they should then be able to figure out on a monthly basis. Or the same is true. It's kind of overwhelming to take the skills of taking care of a house. And so I show him how to, you know, skill that out and then also budget it out. For example, uh, if you know that you're going to change all your filters and batteries and such, but you don't have to do it all the same weekend. You can schedule that out, and so that you have a new income, uh, which $100 filter or a, you know, whole slew of different kinds of batteries. Uh, you have them out in like quarterlies or something of that nature. And so you can budget it in that manner,
Okay.
right? Same thing with, you know, home care as far as you're doing your HVAC, you have them maintenance done on that, maintenance done on your car. When's your insurance going to hit? Have you flipped it to monthly? These are all kinds of things that I know when I left home, I knew nothing about, right? Nothing. And very few people do, I think. And especially to take it and push that back into the exercise of creating your own budget,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
And it does two things. It teaches them what it costs. It teaches them how to try to budget it, and they see just how far their paycheck really goes. And because that's usually a first shocker, uh, of, right? I
Yeah,
worked all week, and that's what I brought home,
yeah.
right?
And then
Now what I do with it. I
after
thought
all
I was
these
going to go out this
expenses,
weekend.
after all these expenses, I don't have anything left. I need to
Yeah,
go
I
out.
can't go to the show anymore.
Yeah,
You know,
gotta figure out how to make more money. So is what you have created here in line or going to be in line with what the states and maybe ultimately the federal government are going to require? Are you gonna, you foresee any challenges with them saying, yeah, this will work, we like your style and so on and so forth? Or do you think there's gonna be some pushback, so to speak?
no, I understand exactly what you mean, and part of it is accomplished through the material that I offer, and that's just very straight. Here is how this works. This is how to do a budget, or this is uh how you should save these categories of savings, or for your retirement, for emergencies, etc.
Uh-huh.
That's part of that. That's that side. The other side are these experiences, these work plans that you create. Uh, I am able to list out all the requirements, whether it be a required versus make aware, or just general tell. I mean, versus here are the modules that I'm putting together, and I'll be able, once I get all this integration together, to just sit there and tick off where in the program you are going to meet each requirement. Does that, do you understand what I'm saying?
And so this will all, what you were just describing in answer to my question, this is all going to be done digitally?
Yes, it's digitally, but
Okay,
as anything, based on, I've had conversations with superintendents, most of them say you have to pay extra for the book. And so basically, if they want a book, we can have it published,
right.
and I'll be able to do that too.
And so overall that, there's 20 kids in the class and they all have access to their work. And so everything that they do is recorded under their name or whatever, and the teacher has the ability to track their progress and performance, I assume.
Yes, what I'll be doing is having it as you go through these modules. You'll, again, part of your activities of have you done it, and are you completing the activities? So the digital program itself keeps track and will give you points, which will, in a word, give you a score
Yeah.
of completion, grade you, right?
Uh-huh.
So on that side, and as you say, the teacher or a parent can be set up as the coach.
Sure.
And so as part of it, there's milestones, check-ins that sends you to the coach or sends
Uh-huh.
you to the teacher. And of course, these can be supplemented any way you'd like.
Right. Yeah. So it's not intended then to be the teacher standing in front of the class and saying, now class, today we're going to talk about checkbooks. It's going
No,
to
I
be
mean,
there.
it's a supplement. I mean, they
Yeah.
can do that.
Uh-huh.
Uh, they can, because it'll begin with a presentation that's video, or that can be instead be done by the teacher. That's up to the
I,
teacher or the
okay.
parent.
I
I
see.
mean, so you're able to do that, and as you were asking, I believe, each student has their their record, their their access to the materials that will remain. It's driven by an email, basically. It's driven by a each one is paid their amount for the courseware. And again, that's just an ongoing process then.
Sure.
If, for example, a parent or some schools are considering starting him earlier, starting him in like freshman course, if they wanted to do that each year, and that would just enhance their knowledge level,
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah,
But others are going, no, it's required at senior level. This is when we have time. And
yeah.
I understand that perfectly too, because they have an enormous amount of topics they have to cover,
Yeah,
right?
indeed.
So we have one semester, this is when it's done. And you go, yes, and this is, I can fit that in there, one semester.
All right, so it is intended to be a semester course.
That's what I'm designing it for.
Yeah.
But I also then, because it is a half a credit, at least in some states. So, but then I also am in process of pulling it out to include more teamwork. That's why some are considering it a lower level, like freshmen,
Uh-huh.
because then if they are able to, is to have them out working, earning their own money, having their own real bank accounts, doing their own real budgeting, you know. I mean,
Real,
I personally, yes, I think that would be ideal. If you
indeed.
start early, I don't, you mow, you clean garages, you do all those things can be
Yep.
done, and they are managing their money. Uh, their money has nothing to do with anybody else, but it's their actuals. And if they have questions, it's perfect time. You come back and you ask the teacher, what am I doing? And they
Yep.
can show you something. Uh, I think that would be ideal. And they can also then, you can do more with money mindset because you're able to set up their own, what are your goals? And they go,
Yep.
man, there's this, whatever nice year car. I don't know the 2000s. To me, it would have been I had a 65 Ford Galaxy 500 two-door
Uh,
hardtop.
Big
That was my
sled.
first.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, I remember
So,
those. Those are big monsters anyway. Well, that's,
yeah,
and as you get this completed and out there, and then you'll be coming up with new things to add on. And obviously, it's gonna further enhance the education of the kids, and it's gonna provide more business and cash flow for Sue, for you as well.
oh, well, yes.
Indeed.
But like you say, we can move on into projects and team.
Yeah,
And again, this kind of moves more into what I used to look at is how do you work as a team? How do you work in understanding projects? Uh, so you can
indeed.
move into that.
Um, one of my final questions is, are you
Okay,
doing the coding on this?
no,
So
this is
you've got a programmer, a coder to actually put the digital part together.
it's kind of both. I mean, I purchased into a platform, a program, and I learned the program. So I don't do the coding at all. I'm a user as well. So I
Okay,
had to learn how to do that.
uh-huh.
So
So this platform that you're using allows you to take your ideas and put it into a program format then? Is that about the size of it? I've heard of
yes.
programs that do that, the systems that, I'm a programmer from
Oh, there you go.
85, so I know the coding world and stuff like that. But now they're coming out with, you can create your own app, they say. And no coding involved, just put down what you want, and maybe
Yeah,
that's kind of what you're doing.
yes. And no, I don't know that yet. I mean, I would love to look into that myself a bit. But what I'm doing right now is not that.
I see.
I
Okay.
am the user. Someone else has already done that.
They're putting it together for you. Okay, so how does somebody see what you got? How do people get a hold of you? Email address, website, phone number, etc.
My address, my website. It's easiest probably is my email, AS Rhodes,
A.S.
mhm,
Rhodes.
Rhodes, RHODES, @gmail.com.
Okay. You do not have a website yet?
And I'm in the process of building that.
Okay.
If I have time, I'll probably, I would be able to send you a Q code. My right now it's my email. That's the easiest. Or you could call me, but you have to leave me a message. And my phone number is 918
918, wait a minute,
964
964
6521.
6521.
But you'd have to leave me a message. That's kind of just sits there and fields things.
Yep, no problem. Leave message. Okay. Yeah. My daughter-in-law is a teacher. She's actually homeschooling her youngest child who's 17. And so I was thinking if you had a website, I would send that to her so she could look it over. And from a teacher's point of view, of a homeschool teacher's point of view.
Yes.
I don't know if you've ever heard of Dave Ramsey, but he's a financial guy that helps people handle finances and stuff. And I think he's got a program for kids. And so my grandchildren, there's 3 of them in this family. The 2 older ones, I think, have been through his training,
His material.
handling, money and budgeting and stuff like that. The youngest one maybe have been through it too. She's a really sharp kid. And so it'd be interesting to see a perspective of somebody that might offer some feedback to you from the homeschool world,
Oh, I'd love, yeah.
and stuff like that. But got to have something to show her basically. So in
Now,
close,
does she work for a homeschool group?
she was part of a group here in Florida when they lived in Florida, but they're in Tennessee now. And I don't know if she's just totally on her own or if she's a part of a kind of a local group. I can't answer that question. I don't know.
Right.
Down here I could, but up there I don't.
Homeschool is new as far as they have their groups. It's like their team and they exchange materials. But then there's broader groups. Was she just in a local?
Well, she was here. I don't know
Okay.
if she's in anything at all now up in
Oh, I
Tennessee.
see. I understand.
Yeah, they moved. Yeah. So anyway,
Gotcha.
so any advice you could just toss out real quick to, like I said earlier, there's probably not juniors and seniors watching, but hopefully the moms and the dads of juniors and seniors, anything you could throw out to them real quick?
Well, I would say don't delay. Things are only going to change faster and faster. What we learned as we were kids is so obsolete. I couldn't even tell you the last time I wrote a check. And then even that, then going and we learned credit to most everyone at some point or another. And we planned on our retirements, but pensions are going away, Social Security is going away, and it's truly a responsibility of the individual more than ever before. And so I wouldn't delay. Our kids now need to really face this and learn as much as they can.
Because they gotta live in it, don't they?
Well, whatever it is, yes.
Yes, indeed.
We can do the best we can for them, and
Right.
it's theirs ultimately.
There's a point at which, well, I was gonna say our job is done, but maybe not necessarily, but we've got to turn them loose into the world and out the door, so hopefully they're prepared, but it sounds like you're totally aware that there are so many that are not prepared, and therefore you embarking on this project is a new lifetime project for you, no doubt. And hopefully it's going to reach a lot of students, a lot of kids, and even help their whole families, as they work these things, these principles through, and see the effect, the positive effect that
Positive.
finances can have on their homes, on their lives, So anyway, so okay, well, hey, I've appreciated this time. It's been interesting. I wish you good success on your project, and it sounds like you've got a ways to go to get this really finalized and get this out ready for what I call prime time to get it introduced. And that includes your marketing possibilities or programs to contact the schools, to contact the home schools, and to tell them about Sue, what she is, who you are, what you've done, and what you're doing now. And that's an important part of business. You are embarking on a business, don't you know? And there's marketing involved in that, and there's sales involved in that. So get boned up. I guess that's where I come in. I can help in the sales and the overall coaching part of it.
Very good.
You create the product, and I'll help you get it out to market, because that's
That's a good idea.
you can have a great product, but if you can't get it out to market, it sits on your
It
shelf.
sits.
Yeah, basically. So
Well, Russ, I want to thank you again for giving me this opportunity. Even the idea that I begin speaking and having to verbalize, I apologize, even verbalizing what even having to verbalize the idea that I've come up with, just practice.
yeah, and
You have given me an enormous
you're going
opportunity.
to have to present yourself, present your program, your product to really who's going to be your prospects, your customers, the school superintendents, principals, whatever the case may be.
Yes.
So yeah, it's a lot of fun. But that's where the rubber meets the road,
Yes,
sure.
it's all different, all new.
Yeah. So
Again, thank you very much.
you're welcome. Glad to have you on. So anyway, folks, there we have it. This is Sue Rhodes coming up with a new product that's going to revolutionize the little mindsets of our kids, the juniors and seniors, and maybe if she has her way, it'll go back and start in the freshman classes as well. But anyway, helping these kids learn how to take care of their own finances so they can be a little more self-sufficient in their lives. So this has been another episode of Money Talks, where we talked about money, and we're not so much talking about how to make it this time, but how to handle it, how these kids, our children, our grandchildren need to learn how to handle money. It's going to affect them all of their lives. So anyway, folks, thanks for tuning in. And until we meet again on Money Talks, this is Russ with RST Coaching Academy, rstcoachingacademy.com, 386-286-2450. And you've got Sue's information, by the way. That would be A.S. Rhodes, RHODES @gmail.com, or phone number is 918-964-6521. Be sure to leave a message. It doesn't sound like she answers those because she's so inundated with calls with people wanting to sell them her product. So anyway, give her a call and send her an email. So thanks for coming on, folks, today, and we'll see you next time. All right, over and out. Take care. Hi, thanks for being here today for another episode of Money Talks. I hope it was informative and encouraging to you. If it struck a chord in your heart, or if you have any questions or comments, please let us know. Visit us at rstcoachingacademy.com, call 386-286-2450, or send an email to email@rstcoachingacademy. Thanks again, and until next time,
be great.